Hi everyone, Phil Snyder here. Hey, I want to do a little video on what's been going on in Salt Lake County and in the state of Utah. This video is really dedicated to residents of Salt Lake County. Salt Lake County, as we all know, starts at downtown Salt Lake City. It goes all the way out to Draper to the point of the mountain, and then it goes east and west from Magna all the way up into Mill Creek, Salt Lake City, all that. Beginning at the first of the year, around January 2025, I saw some news coverage that really bothered me. And the governor's office, as well as the Utah State Legislature, sent a nasty letter to Salt Lake City Mayor Aaron Mendenhall, basically making threats to take over the homeless problem in her city if she didn't take care of the problem. And I was quite shocked at that, that a state government would try to tell a city mayor what to do in their city and how to manage their city. Um, that just seems like that is really exceeding their authority. And, it was a little worrisome. So there's been a lot of media coverage on this, in case you're not aware. There has been legislation that was passed, and that is House Bill 465, if you want to take a look at that. Basically, as the result of the bill, the way it was passed, it wasn't a takeover by the state government, but it looks like uh, there is an agreement between the city and the state that allows them to be involved to some degree, and with the city's handling of the homeless problem and crime and streets and all that other stuff. So after the posts in January, it looks like the Salt Lake City police chief was fired by the mayor. Whether you agree with that or not. Anyway, there's been a lot of things that are going on. My question is, where the hell has the sheriff been during all this? The Salt Lake County Sheriff is who I'm talking about, Rosie Rivera. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I've heard nothing but crickets since January, since all of this started. I haven't seen the sheriff on the news. I haven't seen her in meetings with the city officials and the state officials. Just quiet. A lot of people don't even know who their Salt Lake County sheriff is when I ask them, yet they vote for one. Every 4 years, there's a sheriff's election. And I have asked a number of people if they know who their Salt Lake County sheriff is, and they don't seem to know. Now, this is not an attack on Rosie Rivera herself as a person. I'm a retired Salt Lake County Sheriff's deputy and unified police officer. I used to work with Rosie. I have no problems whatsoever with her as a person, but I do think as a taxpayer and as a voter in Salt Lake County, I have a right to criticize our elected sheriff. And I'm going to show you in this video statutory duties of a sheriff. And part of their duties are to enforce the law and preserve the peace and make lawful arrests in their county. A sheriff has county-wide jurisdiction. A lot of people don't know that. A sheriff is the chief law enforcement officer of their county. So they can go anywhere in the county, including Salt Lake City, to address the homeless problem. Let me play a clip a little bit what's going on recently with the mayor and the state legislature.
From the table.
They want sought to take control of the city's own streets.
This is another instance in this legislative session where the state asserted itself, where local electeds are meant to lead. We are closest to our people. We know unequivocally that Salt Lakers want traffic calming methods.
We have this phenomenally conservative government that is saying, hey, we don't want the federal government to come tell us how to live our state law. We in Salt Lake City don't want the state government to come tell us how to build our streets. Don't block
It is not reflective of the values of this community. Went into the session with the goal of preventing a state takeover of our public safety. And we succeeded.
The mayor says he hopes to continue to maintain open dialogue with lawmakers so they can negotiate in good faith.
the Salt Lake City and County building. Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News.
We have elections. That's why we have elections. We have city elections that elected the Salt Lake City mayor. And as she said, the people are closer that elect their mayor than a state trying to intervene in that. Same thing goes with the sheriff's elections. The residents of Salt Lake County, which includes Salt Lake City, where this homeless problem is, should have a say and should rely on their mayor to handle these problems instead of a state jumping in and trying to handle everything. I've just seen over this last couple of years some very alarming problems. Last year, the legislature bullied the Salt Lake County sheriffs into getting her to step down as the chief of her own unified police department, and I've done some videos on that. So the next Salt Lake County sheriff elections are November of 2026, so just a little bit more than a year and a half away. I think everybody should be asking themselves. I pulled up the sheriff's duties, and this does not pertain to just the Salt Lake County sheriff, but this is all Utah sheriffs, so you can see for yourself what their duties are. One thing the video left out is House Bill 84, I believe it was. In addition to all those other duties of a Salt Lake County sheriff, or any Utah sheriff for that matter, they are in charge of security, overseeing and coordinating training, providing training for the school guardians and armed guards. And they're supposed to be involved through the county security chief and making collaborating communication with everybody and making sure that needs assessments for the safety get done, things like that. But here are the sheriff's duties. The sheriff's duties in Utah can be found on the Utah legislator's website. It looks like they've changed this again, May 1st, 2024. It says sheriff general duties. The sheriff shall preserve the peace, make all lawful arrests. It says they are to attend the Supreme Court and a court of appeals and provide security there when necessary. Juvenile court security in the district and the justice courts. You always see sheriff's deputies in uniform there in the courts when you come in. Here's another interesting one. F. Command the aid of as many inhabitants of the sheriff's county as the sheriff considers necessary in the execution of these duties. Pretty powerful language there. The sheriff can deputize as many people as they deem necessary to handle the problem. The sheriff is in charge of their keeper of the jail. The sheriff decides, unless otherwise provided by law, who stays in jail and who gets released. Quite a bit of duties here. I'm not going to read the whole thing. Extinguish fires, search and rescue. Anyway, quite a bit there. I know the Salt Lake County Sheriff probably doesn't want to hear any criticism, but I'm sorry. She's an elected official. Please, I would appreciate it if you would share, like this video, and get this video out to as many people, anybody that you know that lives in Salt Lake County. If they care about law enforcement, if they care about the homeless problem and addressing it properly and keeping our streets safe, I think, and I'm going to leave a link to Sheriff Rosie Rivera's, her email and her phone number. And I would encourage everybody that votes, number one, vote. Number two, before you do that, vet your sheriff's candidate. It's not always the best idea just to vote if it has a D next to the name or an R next to the name. This sheriff's been in office for, I don't know, about 10 years. And, I don't know how she keeps getting elected. Again, I'm not attacking her as a person. I'm attacking her as holding public office. I don't think she's doing a good job. You saw on the duties of a sheriff. It didn't mention anywhere in there that she can only make arrests and preserve the peace and command the aid of inhabitants of the county with regard to the homeless problem. It doesn't say that it has to be in unincorporated areas. It doesn't say she has to stay out of cities that have their own police department. If I was a sheriff, I would be working with the city leaders and offering, hey, how can we help you? How can we help you with the homeless problem? We don't want the state getting involved in your city. The sheriff shouldn't want the state handling a problem that a sheriff should be handling in their county. Our sheriffs are very important. Our sheriffs can tell the governor and the Utah legislature to, you know, stay out of their business and, let the sheriff handle their problems in their county. I don't understand why the sheriff is quiet on all this and letting all this happen. I don't know why the sheriff is quiet about this. And now we have House Bill 465 that is allowing the state to intervene in the homeless problem when a sheriff should be doing that. The Salt Lake County Sheriff makes $261,000 a year in salary, more than the Salt Lake County District Attorney's office. And she's not even an attorney. She makes pretty good money that we, the taxpayers, are paying for. Why is our sheriff not addressing this home problem? Why is the sheriff not going down into Salt Lake City and sending some of her deputies out there to address the homeless problem? Why not? I really think it would behoove you before the next election, while you're thinking about it, call your sheriff, email your Salt Lake County sheriff. And I think that as a voter, you're entitled to an explanation as to why she hasn't been involved in the homeless problem, why she has stood silent. If she's been involved in this, then I take it back and I'll take this part out of the video. But I haven't seen anything. I haven't heard her say anything about all of this that's been going on. Through all these laws being passed that are now law, where now the state is involved. I think it's just unexcusable. And I hope that everybody that cares about the quality of life in the county, that cares and wants to vet their next Salt Lake County sheriff. You should be asking your next Salt Lake County sheriff some very good questions about their stances on crime and the homeless and things like that. Thanks for watching.